Hello, everyone. This is Jared from Financially Abundant Life, and today we have a very interesting and exciting topic. We are going to talk about the mental benefits of staying on our budget. For those of you that are new to my podcast or my YouTube channel, I want you to know that I believe and I coach that financial success comes from positive results in two different aspects of our lives. That's the numbers side, so that's just understanding your budget, income and expenses, interest, things like that. And then the mental side, that's how we relate to money, how we think about money. And it's the mastering that mental side will give us greater results than just the numbers side alone. All right, so last week we talked about the numbers side of a budget, and if you'll remember, and what I want to recap here is that I didn't really use the term budget, and I want to start by asking you this question. When someone tells you, or when you think about the word budget, what do you think? What kind of feelings do you have? Someone says, if you're talking about money, and someone says, oh, you just need to get on a budget. That will help you so much. What are your thoughts there? What do you think about that? I think most people have negative thoughts about that. I know that I did when I first started. You have these thoughts that, well, a budget's just going to tell me all the things that I can't buy, or the things that I shouldn't buy, or all the expenses that I need to cut out of my life. It almost feels like an overbearing parent acting on a child. Well, we know that all of us are adults and we don't like that feeling anymore. We'd like to be in control of our life and make our own decisions, and we don't want to give all that up to our budget. So because of that, I don't like to use the term budget when I talk about finances with my clients or with you, or I'm not going to do that on my podcast either. Now, there really is no difference. I use the word plan. Okay? There is no difference between a plan and a budget. I want people out there saying, well, Jared coaches that you shouldn't use budget. That's just dumb. I'm just using a different word for the same idea because I believe that it has a more positive connotation. Okay? We are adults. We control our own money. We control how we spend it, what we buy, and what we don't buy. A plan, or a budget, if you want to call it that, but a plan just keeps us organized financially. Okay? Let me give you an example that I think will help better explain this. Some days when I walk into work, I feel very out of control. I come in and I'm thinking about all the things that I didn't get finished yesterday. And I'm thinking about all the things that I thought about overnight, or my drive into work that I need to do that maybe I have been putting off and I finally need to get to do it. I open my email and I see I've got 3 or 4 emails from clients and things that I need to do there. And then someone comes into the office and brings some more things for me to do. And I start to get this sense of overwhelming, and I want to get all of this done. I want to get it all done now, and I can't get any of it done. And so if I'm not very organized, I'll maybe work on one thing that's in the top of the email list. I'll think, oh, I'll just get this done really fast. And I start to work on that, and I get it done, and it's not done very well or very thoroughly, but I already starting to think about the other thing that I need to do. And so if I continue on that path for my whole day, I'm feeling stressed all day long, like I'm always behind. I'm never getting accomplished. I don't really feel good about the work that I am getting done because I just half-heartedly do it. And I don't do a very good job because I'm more worried about getting on to the next thing and getting that done correctly. And at the end of the day, I don't feel very good. I don't feel like I've accomplished a lot. And throughout the day, I've just felt this sense of panic, I guess is the best word. I'm trying to think of a better word, but I think that's just what I'm thinking of. So what I've learned to do is I say no at the beginning of the day. I say stop, and I just make a list of everything that needs to be done. And then I prioritize that list. Okay, what do I need to get done right away? What's the most pressing items? And then I just do that. And as other things come into me, I just sort of ignore it. If someone comes into my office, I may listen to it for a minute or two, and I say, okay, great, thanks, I'll get to that. I put it on the list, and I go back to the thing that I was working on originally. Now, this works for me. It may not work for you. That's fine. I'm not trying to coach you on that or anything. But what I'm trying to say is that this plan provides me a sense of peace throughout the day. I generally get everything done that I need to get done during that day with a much higher level of quality than if I was just worried about getting to the next thing, because I know that I'm just working on this one item right now, and I'm going to work on it. And I do get it done, and I get it done with a higher level of results. That's the word I'm looking for there. And by the end of the day, I haven't felt so out of control. I haven't felt this whole sense of panic, okay? Well, a plan is just like that. All it does is it just takes everything that you need to quote unquote do for the month, okay, or all of your expenses, and it looks at all your income and it just says, okay, this is where we're going to allocate all our money for the month. And it's kind of already laid out there for us. And that way, when we go to the store, we don't have to worry, do I have enough money for this? You know, am I going to have enough? If I buy this, will I be able to pay the electric bill? We've already set all of that out. We've already made that quote unquote to-do list, and we're working on that one item there, okay? And like with my day, you know, at the end of the day, I had this sense of peace, throughout the day, I had this sense of peace because I knew I was in control and I was getting things done. Your financial plan does that exact same thing. Excuse me. You don't have to worry every single day whether you're going to have enough money to make these purchases or pay that bill. It's already all laid out. You know that, okay, I need X number of dollars for the electric, and I need X number of dollars for my car payment. I need X number of dollars to buy food, and I need X number of dollars for my daughter's dance classes. Whatever it is, it's already laid out. You're financially organized, and you have the resources for it. That is what a plan does. We are in control of our money. We dictate how we spend it. Making this plan just lets us save money, or I don't even want to use the word save, lets us allocate the money to those things that we want to purchase more, okay? Now, I want you to stop and think about that for a minute. How does that sound to you? Do you think that that's sort of a plan that you could live? Could you buy into that? And now if I brought that back up and said, hey, that's really what a budget does. It just organizes your finances and lets you allocate the money to those different areas which you want in your life. Rather than calling it a budget, I call it a plan. Doesn't that feel better to you? Don't you almost want to be like, yeah, I want to do that with my money. I want to live like that day to day. It just sounds so much easier. It sounds like there's so much less stress. And it really is. It's a whole new way of thinking about your plan, or your budget, if you want to call it that. And that's one of the mental aspects of money. Now, there are a whole bunch of different mental aspects that we're going to talk about. If you sign up to be coached with me, there's a whole bunch of different mental aspects that we need to analyze within ourselves and then kind of overcome or change our way of thinking to help us become financially abundant there. But that's just one of them. Okay. Now, I don't want to oversell this. I don't want you to think, oh, well, great. You know, if I just organize my money, and by the way, if you need help with that, I've got a spreadsheet on my website, which you can download. It will create a personalized budget for your family. Go listen to podcast number 2 if you want more information, or go to my website, financiallyabundantlife.com. And in podcast number 2 there, you can get access to the spreadsheet there, and that will just help you get organized, okay? Now, I don't want to oversell this and say, hey, this is just going to be great and wonderful when you create a plan and your life's going to be easy, right? If some of you have issues with spending money, you just kind of you go to the store and you see something and you buy it, okay? Then, you know, we are going to have to dial that back a little bit, right? And say, okay, well, what do you really want? You know, what's really important to you? And let's save money to buy those things rather than just buying all this little frivolous stuff that you see. Now, that change can be a little bit hard, okay? It gets easier with time, but initially it can be a little bit hard. Let me share a story, an experience that I had in my life. This was several years ago when I first started living on a plan, if you will, right? I can remember I went to a bookstore. This was before Amazon is what it is today, and there were still a lot of bookstores in the world. So I went to a bookstore, and one of my hobbies is photography. And there was this really awesome book on photography. It had really great photos, and it had some really great tips on how to take better photos. And I was sitting, you know, or standing in the aisle there and flipping through this book and just was really excited about this. Now, it was a fairly large book, almost kind of like a book you'd put on your coffee table. It was hardbound. The pages were thick, nice, glossy paper, you know. So it was a nice book. So I flipped it over, and I saw the price was like $75, which, depending on when you're listening to this, that was a lot of money for a book in those days. And my first thought was, well, I don't care. I want this. I'm going to buy it. I'll buy it on my credit card and I'll just pay it off later. Excuse me. And I paused at that point and I thought to myself, wait a minute. I'm on this plan. I'm not doing that anymore. I'm not buying things that I can't quote unquote afford. And I remember looking at this book for a few minutes and thinking, what do I really want? Do I really want this book or do I really want to stay on my plan? And it was hard because I wanted that book. And I thought it was going to give me all these good tips. And I thought about all these great, wonderful photos that I could take if I bought that book. But as I sat there and thought about it, I knew I'd made a commitment to myself. And I said, no, it's more important to me that I save my money and stay in my plan. And this isn't in my plan right now. So I'm going to put it back. I put it back. And you know what? An hour later, I didn't even care that I had bought that book. And to this day, I still think about that, but not because I didn't buy the book, but because I was so proud of myself that I chose to stay on that plan. That became more important to me, okay? But that took a shift. Now, that book is just one easy kind of story. There were other things in my life there that I wanted to buy that I knew if I wanted to stay on plan, I couldn't do that. And so changing from buying to kind of whatever you quote unquote wanted, to dialing that back a little bit does take a little bit of change in your life. Maybe, here's another thought that you might have, and again, I'm saying, I'm trying to sell this that it's, what am I trying to do? I don't want to say that it's going to be hard, but I don't want you to think that I'm just saying it's going to be easy. If you think about your plan as a positive, then everything's, going to be great and wonderful. So another item that you might run into there is you're going to go download my spreadsheet or whatever, go get one off the internet, whatever. You're going to outline all your income, you're going to outline all your expenses, and you're going to see at the end of the month that you just don't have enough money to cover all those expenses. And that's just going to get a little depressing, or maybe you start to have a little anxiety attack, panic attack, or you feel a lot of anxiety, or you feel a lot of fear. Those are very, very common feelings with people working with money, fear and shame. Okay, let me give you another way of looking at that, okay? And I would love to, and this is not a sales pitch, but I would love to help coach you on that. Go to my website, sign up for my 3-month program. We'll come up with a plan for you for the first month. And then for the next 2 months, that's all we do is just work through the mental aspects of how can we achieve our goals, both on the number side and the mental side. But going back to this thought, if you get back to the bottom of your plan and you realize you just don't have enough money to cover all of your expenses, rather than feeling fear or shame or panic or anxiety, I want you to consider this. There's a book that I read by Susan Jeffers. Susan Jeffers. It's called Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway. It's an awesome book. It talks about fear in a whole bunch of different categories in our life. And one of those could be fear related to money. And she's got a great quote in this book. She says, security is not having things, it's handling things. And I think that is so true for money. Security isn't having a lot of money, okay? I can tell you a different financial situation for every sort of asset class that you could possibly have that would wipe out all of those assets. Somebody said, well, I've got $2 million cash in the bank. I lived in Ukraine for 2 years and I saw rampant inflation wipe out whole generations, all their pensionieri, they call them. Everyone who was already on retirement wiped out all their retirement. The inflation got so bad. Okay? So even having cash alone doesn't do it. I can always come up with some situation. So security is not having things, or if I can change that a little bit, security isn't having money, it's handling things. Okay? So if you get down to the end of your budget, and you think that I just don't have enough money to make this month to month, and you start to think all these negative thoughts again, let me give you another thought to think. Just the fact that you are here listening to this podcast or watching this YouTube video already speaks volumes. It says that you want to make changes in your life. That's huge. I have a lot of friends who are out there, and I know they're not living quite financially right. In fact, we've probably all lived that kind of life. You maybe even been there a month ago, who knows, where you just were kind of spending whatever you wanted, or you weren't worrying about the money, you were just paying from payday to payday to payday, and you really didn't have any plan or organization or anything like that. The fact that you're here already says you're starting to change that. You're already pointed in the right direction for financial abundance. So let that be your thought. Give yourself a positive thought rather than beating yourself up over, I don't have enough money. You can make changes. I can help you. We can increase our income. We can adjust our expenses to actually get to the point where we pay off our debt and we don't have that sense of panic anymore. All right. That is kind of the mental side, a high-level mental side of the budget. There's a lot more we could go into there, and in future podcasts, I'm going to talk about different aspects of that. But I want to go over real quick, what are some of the mental results, the benefits of living on a plan, okay, or living with a plan, all right? We talked about some of the benefits, the numbers and benefits, the financial benefits of living with a plan. You know, obviously we have enough money to cover all of our expenses. But let me give you some of the mental benefits. One of those is that you're going to buy less stuff, okay? Now that may sound like a numbers benefit, a concrete thing, but let me tell you that by doing that, you're going to increase your level of discipline. Now, how is that a benefit? When you feel discipline, you realize the results of discipline, you're able to exercise discipline in other aspects of your life and grow in other aspects. Maybe you have issues with eating too much, sleeping too much, not exercising enough. Maybe you don't like the way you handle your kids. Whatever it is, you want to, whatever it is. Once you start to exercise discipline in one aspect of your life, it carries over into other aspects of your life and you just naturally grow. It gives you a better perspective on life. It makes you the master of yourself rather than letting other things act on you, you act on them. Okay. Another mental benefit to living with a plan is that you don't feel that fear or panic or shame that comes with all the stress of money. You don't feel stress from money anymore, nor at the beginning of the month. Let me start over. At the beginning of the month, at the beginning of the month that you're going to have enough money to pay for all of your expenses. As you go day to day throughout that month, you know that as you need to buy something, that you've got enough money to do that. A bill comes to you, you know you've got enough money to do that. You don't have that daily worry and stress. And at the end of the month, you look back at everything you've done financially and you feel good about it. You feel a sense of peace and you welcome the next month's financial challenges. Pay periods are going to come and go and you're not even going to notice them, because you've already allocated the money. It feels great. Okay. Another mental benefit is you are going to learn who you are. Now, this may sound a little kind of crazy and weird, but as we go through and we look at our expenses and we dial those back, we're going to make certain decisions and we're going to say, listen, no, this expense is very important to me. I need money for that. And other expenses, we're going to say, wow, I had no idea I was spending this much money on that. I don't even like that. Let's dial that back. Okay, so you're going to learn what's important to you. And as other interests come along in your life, maybe you run across something. This is how I got into photography. I just bought a camera one day and I just got online and Googled and said, hey, how do you take a better photo? Wasn't really thinking I'd get into it. I just thought, well, if I'm going to buy a camera, I should know how to take a better picture. And something caught me. I just thought, oh, that's kind of interesting. I want to pursue that a little bit more. And I found this thing out about myself that I really liked it. And because I had been living on a financial plan, I had the resources to pursue that avenue and to find new things out about myself, that I did have a little artistic, creative side to me that I never knew I had there. As you grow, I don't want to say that, that's not right. How do I want to say this? As you plan your money out and you stay on this plan and you become financially stronger, your whole thinking is going to change. And generally the growth plan goes like this. All you think about right now is everything that what most people think about right now is all of the things they don't have. I can't afford this and I can't buy that and I can't do this and I can't do that. I don't have enough money for this and I can't pay that bill. It's a very negative way of thinking. It comes from a scarcity mindset. And as we formulate this plan and we stay on our financial plan, it shifts from what I don't have to what I want. You start worrying about, well, I don't have money to do this and this and this, and you start thinking, gosh, I would really like to do that, and I would really like to do this, and I would really like to do that. The growth continues and it gets even better. You go from the things that you don't have to the things that you want to the things that you do have. And you start to recognize all this. Wow, I have a really nice house, or I really like how comfortable my bed is, or I like the car that I drive. You start to appreciate the things that you do have. As you realize that money doesn't make us happy, you start to realize the things that you do have in your life are sufficient enough to make you happy. And it goes to one more level, okay? You start with the things that you don't have, then you grow to the things of what you want, then you grow to realize the things that you do have, and then you end up wondering how you can help others. You'll realize that all of these things that you do have, that you think are making you happy, aren't really making you happy. It's more of our thoughts, and it comes from an inside, and we won't go into all of that now. It's a totally different subject. But you'll start to ask, how can I help others achieve the same level of peace that I have? That's the kind of growth that you will experience as you learn to live within your financial plan. All right, I hope you will consider that. Consider how you currently think about your budget or your plan, and then consider about where you could go. Consider that a financial plan is just a way of organizing your income and expenses, allocating them out ahead of time, and that it makes life a lot easier financially. And doing this helps us grow as a person. I would love to hear your comments about about your financial experiences in your life. So if you're watching this on YouTube, throw those down below. I'd love to read them and see what you've done or what you're learning. Please like and subscribe to this channel if you're watching on YouTube. If you're listening to the podcast, I would love it if you'd subscribe to the podcast and maybe even write me a review. That would be great. If you would like to get some personal coaching, which I highly recommend, then I would encourage you to go to my website, financiallyabundantlife.com. And in there, you'll find a link where you can sign up to work with me for 3 months. Thank you, everyone, for listening to my podcast. And I will look forward to speaking with you next week.